Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
Well, hello again, and welcome to episode 145 of There's Still Time, the AFTN podcast. I'm Michael McCall.
And I'm Steve Pander.
And we're recording this episode from the first day of on-the-pitch training for the WFC2 team. They had their medicals on Monday, we're recording this on Tuesday. And we thought it was apt to record it here because this episode is dedicated to young Canadians. And of course, the Whitecaps 2 team is jam-packed with young Canadians. Mainly because they have to, because of the CSA rules. Yeah. But there's a lot of young talent coming through the Whitecap. We're going to hear from a lot of the guys on the MLS squad today that will probably see minutes in WFC2 this year. But before we get to all that, I think we should probably catch up with some of the news.
The big news, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the big news is, Steve, you're back on the podcast. I wasn't sure you were going to be back on it ever again.
Well, you just keep recording without me.
That's what happens. You have kids. You can't make it.
Scheduling-wise, yeah.
But the big news... At the time of recording this, it hasn't been confirmed, but it seems all but confirmed. Blas Perez, the horny man himself, looks to be becoming a Vancouver Whitecap.
Yeah, I think Aaron wrote an article on it last week.
Yep, we broke the news on Friday on AFTN. The stumbling blocks were that the Whitecaps needed to move someone on to free up cap space, and Dallas were also wanting $50,000 in allocation money, or the rights to Mauro Rosales.
Yeah.
And by the looks of it, they've got the rights to Mauro Rosales.
It looks like it. And then, well, you were talking about cap space, but they want to free up probably a roster spot there too, because they don't want to be at a full 28 roster size before they, because they want some flexibility going into the season as well.
Yeah, Robbo's said all along that he doesn't want to go into first kick with a full roster in case there's somebody that he wasn't able to get that suddenly becomes available. Yeah. And that's a possibility. As we saw last year with Christian Teixeira, he came in April.
Yeah.
So none of the draft picks have been signed as well. And you have to think Cole Seiler is definitely going to get an MLS contract.
He should be the obviously the biggest choice. The other two, they could easily be signed to WFC2 contracts as well because they're second round picks.
Yeah. And it does look, though, that you're going to have to move some guys on to make way for Perez, to make way for Seiler. I think there's 3 free spots at the moment, but even with that...
I think there's only one they want to use up.
Yeah, I mean, money-wise, you also want to free up some cap space, and you have to look at the likes of Darren Mattix, Gerson Kofi, 2 guys over 200,000. Lots of rumours have gone on for weeks now that they might be getting moved on, and you have to think one of them is going to have to.
Yeah, for maybe locker room chemistry, they might think about Maddox because of the fact that if they bring in Blas Perez, he'll see the writing on the wall for himself that he's been knocked down another spot down the depth chart, right?
I mean, he's already been knocked down to 3.
Yeah, and if Perez comes in, that's 4.
Yeah, and then you've got Hurtado as well, who's really cheap compared to Mattix. And both of their finishing are about the same.
The same thing. And then also everybody talk about Cristiano Bolaños, and everybody's talking about his flexibility. He can play almost all positions, and obviously he could play one of the striker spots if they ever go to 2 strikers.
So let's look at Perez. Not the most popular guy amongst the Whitecap support, to say the least. I think it was two years ago on our end of season round table. We pitched the idea to the crew of maybe bringing in Perez. It didn't go down very well at that point.
It's still not going down with most people.
I don't know. I think it's pretty split. I think the hardcore in the south side and the supporter groups are very adamant that they don't want him.
There was a tweet this morning. I don't know if I want to mention name. He tweeted, "It's a effing disgrace. If you sign him or cheer for him, you'll be cheering against Whitecaps history." I like the guy, but I find it funny because I looked it up, and Perez has only played 700 minutes against the Whitecaps, so that's not much of a history if he's going to give that as history.
I think it was
maybe he needs to just clarify what he was talking about. I'm not sure, but it just sounded funny to me that all of a sudden Perez is the worst guy ever to play against the Whitecaps, and I think a lot of people would disagree with that.
Well, the thing that's funny with it as well is like I've referred to him as a cap killer. A lot of the other media guys have used that term as well. Then when I was researching Aaron's piece, it turns out four goals he's only scored against us and 1 assist.
And he's only scored in 3 games.
Yeah. I think the fact that he comes from Dallas is one thing, because obviously we know that they're just like diving bar stewards. But it's more his antics that he's deemed to, I don't want to say cheat, but he's deemed to embellish, go down easy.
But what like we had Rivero having that same reputation here, that he goes down easily too, and people were cheering him.
And Camilo as well.
Yeah, exactly. So he cheated on the other team. Now he's going to be cheating for us. It's a good thing, I guess.
And the way I've always looked at things, you can hate a player when he plays for the other team, but as soon as he puts on your team's jersey, he's part of your team now. He's part of your club, and you should be cheering him on.
Because if we're going to hate everybody that we play against, who are we going to sign from within MLS? We're going to be signing people from outside all the time.
MLS is such a small pool, and the way that things work, players are moving around all over the place. Yeah. And it's like, as Darren Matic said in our interview that we ran with him last week, players are traded in MLS all the time. When a guy signs for your club, you have to cheer him on. And I actually like what he's going to offer. I like what he's going to be bringing along. The fact that he is a bit of a nasty character, I like that. What the team has needed for a while is a big target man. A guy that can really kind of mix it up in the box, mess things up a bit, put himself about a bit. And for certain, Blas Perez is the guy that can do that. And overall, I'm welcoming the signing. I think it's going to be good. I think he's going to be a guy that's not going to be a starter. He's going to come off the bench in the last maybe 10, 15 minutes of games and just give us that thing which we didn't really have last year, which is something different and a big target man. And I think once he starts scoring, those fans that are maybe not wanting him here are going to want him here.
Yeah, and I think the Whitecaps also need to, I'm not going to say sell him to the Whitecaps fans, but maybe explain a few things. Like, for example, the celebration, the horn thing that he does. A lot of people think it's about devil worship. It's not. It's and then some people think it's about FC Dallas. It's like because they're kind of like the
bull horns or something.
Yeah. But it's actually for his dad. His dad was nicknamed the Bull. And so the horns actually is a tribute to his dad. And if anybody ever had a chance to watch MLS Insider, you'll probably find on YouTube or maybe on their site, there was a profile on him that described all that about him.
And people should know by now, Carl Robinson is very big on character. He is not going to bring a player in that is going to be disruptive in the locker room. He's not going to bring a player in that goes against the other kind of players that he has here. So if Carl Robinson thinks that he's going to be a good addition, then he's doing it for the right reasons. And this has not just come out of the blue. This has been in the works since the end of the season. When he announced that he was leaving Dallas, Vancouver was one of his favourite options, and Carl Robinson has been trying to get this done for weeks. And now it looks like it's finally, months. And now it looks like it's finally going to be done.
Yeah. Oh, well, let's get to somebody that actually was signed late last week. I think it was after you sent out the last podcast, so you weren't able to talk about it. Wee Scottish fellow, who's actually Canadian, Fraser Aird, he's joined the team on loan from Rangers.
He could be the most Scottish Canadian since Colin Miller. He definitely sounds Scottish when you chat to him, as you'll hear in a few minutes. He sounds more Scottish than Canadian.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that everyone's talked about, that he's coming in as right back to battle with Jordan Smith. As you'll hear when we chat to him, he doesn't necessarily see himself as a right back. He does see himself as a versatile player that can play left wing and right wing. And I think he's going to kind of be the new Russell Tybert, in that he's going to be maybe a jack of all trades. Hopefully he's not going to be a master of none, but I think he's going to be a guy that Carroll can bring in to play in a number of different positions. I honestly don't think he's going to be a starter.
No, I don't think he's a starter right off the bat. And I hope it doesn't dissuade him that, if he doesn't get the starting spot right away, that he doesn't upset him or anything like that. I hope he's patient with it and takes the time to learn the league too as well, because it's a much different league than Europe.
In fact, before we talk anymore, let's just hear from Fraser himself. He did a conference call on Monday, so there was a few of us on it, and we just talked about a number of things, about how the move came about and what he can offer the team, and a few more. So let's hear now from Whitecaps' latest signing, Fraser Aird. So, welcome to the Whitecaps, Fraser. When I spoke to you, when you were here with the Canadian team in November, you seemed really happy at Rangers. How did this move come about? And is it just a case that you weren't getting starts under Warburton and you just feel that at this stage of your career you're just needing to get more minutes under your belt?
Yeah, it was just a few factors, to be honest. Obviously, I found myself not being involved as much as I'd like to be. When the new manager came in, the team was doing well, and he was kind of sticking to the same lineup as managers seem to do. So I just thought that it was in my best interest that I need to go out and get regular game time. And also speaking to Robbo and speaking to a few other people, this was probably my best option. And I just thought with a few positives that could come out of it. And I just decided that this was the right move for me to go and pursue, obviously playing football and better my career.
So had you asked to go out on loan, or was it, did the Whitecaps, was it them that approached Rangers to begin with?
There's kind of a mutual thing between me and obviously speaking to the gaffer at Rangers. Warburton was obviously happy to let me go out on loan because he understood that I needed to play too, but obviously disappointed that I wasn't getting the games at Rangers. So it's kind of a mutual thing. And just for myself, obviously, I've played plenty of games when I was younger, last few seasons, 30-odd games plus. And I was finding myself I wasn't probably going to get that this season, so I thought that I needed to act on that and go out and play games.
And Fraser, it's Cam Tucker calling from Metro News. In terms of playing time, I mean, there's still competition at that right back spot. How much do you kind of look forward to that competition and trying to earn your playing time with a new team? And was that something that was discussed between you and Carl Robinson?
Yeah, that's obviously one thing we discussed. Obviously, I've been playing there for Rangers at the start of the season, and obviously with the reserves, I was playing right back. Obviously, when I went about to Canada, I came on as a right back when I got my first cap. Obviously, that was a position that Robbo thought that he needed to strengthen. Obviously, losing the Bowie to Toronto FC, he knows I can play that position when asked. He also knows that I can play out wide, left and right, as I have for Rangers in the past. So I think I'm quite versatile, and if I'm asked to be playing in a certain position, then I'll just go in and give it my all, and if you're playing at the end of the day, then you're happy.
You were teammates in Rangers with Kenny Miller. As this whole process was going about, did you ever confide in him about the market in Vancouver and maybe what to expect within the structure of the club at all?
Actually, Kenny was a big influence actually on the reason why I came over. Also, he's still good pals with the manager, Robbo, and speaking back and forth to Robbo, speaking to Kenny Miller, kind of got the deal over the line in a way. He's very positive about the club, very positive about the manager moving forward, so he was very good. Would suit the way I want to play, could fit into his team, could help me learn on the park, off the park. So Kenny Miller was one of the influences why I did come over here, but it was mostly down to the manager, speaking to the manager, and he was keen to get me, and everything that he taught me and moving forward, he could help me progress as a player. I was very keen on what he was saying, and hopefully I can go and do that and help the Whitecaps to some success this season.
Hi, Fraser. Martin McMahon here, writing a piece for Sportsnet. You mentioned that you are versatile in terms of the positions you can play. Do you have a preferred position, and what do you think about? It seems that Carl Robinson seems to say you're going to be really competing for that right back spot. Is right back a position that you like playing?
Yeah, I don't mind playing it. In football these days, right backs, as everyone knows, are very attacking players. They come into the game quite a lot and a lot more than they used to, especially when the wingers go inside. The fullbacks have the freedom of the width of the pitch going forward, are a very attacking-minded players these days, the way football is. So no, I'm happy to play in that position. As I said before, whenever I get the chance to play, wherever it is, I'll give it 100%. And I'm still young, still learning. So the more positions I can learn how to play can only benefit me.
Now, this agreement has a transfer option. I mean, would you like to earn a permanent deal essentially with the Whitecaps, or would you prefer to go back to Scotland after getting some game time out under your belt here and then go back there and win a first-team place there? Do you have a preference in terms of how this all ends up?
I wouldn't say that I would be earning a contract here. Obviously, it was a season-long loan for me to go out and get games. My club is still Rangers at this minute. Vancouver's the only club I'm on loan to. But further down the line, you can't predict the future. And if I come here and I love it, I get on with the manager, I go and play 25, 35 games. You never know what can happen. But at the end of the day, I'm here to play football and just to take it each step at a time. Don't want to look too far ahead. Still have 18 months left on my contract at Rangers. So just need to play by year, and at the end of the day, I'm here to play football, and hopefully I go out and enjoy it.
Did you have any other conversations with any other clubs?
Yeah, there's a few. There's a few others. But I thought at the time, Vancouver and coming to play under Carl Robinson was my best option.
And do you have any other? Obviously, you grew up in Toronto. Do you have any Vancouver connections? Have you been to the city before this? Any family out this way?
No, all my family's in Toronto. I was out here with the national team in November for the game against Honduras. We were in for a 5-day training camp before the game. So we were probably here for about 7 days. I actually love the city. It was a lot like Toronto. I'm a city boy myself, so I enjoy living downtown, and it was good. I really enjoyed it. I didn't think that I'd be coming back to live here for a few months when I came in November. But no, I'm looking forward to it, looking to get to know the city a lot better, and I'm looking forward to it.
Do you think that this move will help you in your international career as well as your club career?
Yeah, I think wherever I went out on loan, as long as I'm playing first-team football, then hopefully I'm in with a shout. I've got my foot into the door, obviously being in the last 2 camps, and obviously getting my first cap against Ghana. But hopefully playing more regularly over here, they get to watch me a bit more, and hopefully I can cement my place in the squad moving forward.
Carl Robinson is a coach that seems to give young players a chance. How much did that factor into this?
Yeah, we'll see. Vancouver have had the youngest squad last 2 years in a row. So I'll say it shows that Carl, he puts his faith in the young boys. At the end of the day, if you don't give the young boys a chance, then how are you going to know how they're going to perform in the big games? So it's all about giving boys a chance. I was lucky enough to get my chance when I was very young and keep myself involved. So it's a good thing for all the young boys coming through. Me being one of them, I'm still young. So hopefully he gives me a good chance at it, and then it's obviously up to me to perform well on the park, do well in training, and then it's up to me to keep the jersey.
There are a couple of familiar faces for you, I guess, from the Canadian camp. I guess Russell Tybert would be a guy that you met previously at that other after you've been called up. I mean, does it help to know a couple of the guys?
Yeah, also I know Rusty, just from being in the last few camps in Canada. I also know Sam, Kian, the Marco Bustos. So there's a few boys that I know in the squad. Hopefully they can help me settle in a little bit. And then all the new boys, since I've been in, have been very welcoming. And hopefully I could sit down with a few of them and get to know them a bit better, since they're going to be my teammates for the next 9 months.
And how much do you know about the league? I mean, I know it started to get shown over there on Sky, but how much do you know about Major League Soccer and the rivalries that the Whitecaps have with, like, Portland and Seattle?
I actually had a season ticket at Toronto FC the first year they opened. My dad and brother still have season tickets to this day. So I used to go and watch MLS. I used to actually watch Robo play for Toronto FC back in the day. And I used to shout at him from the stand. But no, it's a growing league. As you can see, it's attracting a lot more experienced players from overseas, with the Lampards and Gerrard, Pirlo coming over and playing. And I think the league's only going to expand and get better year after year. But I think the standard's very good right now in the MLS. And for someone like me, still young, looking to improve, I think that I can only benefit from coming over here.
And you've had an experience of the turf, obviously, when you were training with Canada. I guess like an artificial surface isn't as daunting to you because in the lower leagues of Scotland there's so many teams putting that in now. But how did you find the turf here, and is it an issue for you playing like half your season on an artificial pitch?
I wouldn't say it's an issue. At the end of the day, BC plays is BC plays. It's not going to change. If we go in and ask for grass, it's not going to change. So we just need to get on with it and play. I'd say it's probably at our advantage when teams that play on grass come and play us. But at the end of the day, it's the surface with the same dimensions as every football park. Once you cross that white line, it's 11v11 on the park. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. You still need to go and win the game, surface or not. But no, I don't think it has any effect on any of the boys, and you just need to get on with it.
How much did that, you talk about watching Carl play and being familiar with him as a player, how much did that factor into the decision to come here, or is that just kind of a sidebar?
Oh, no, it's just a sidebar. Obviously, I know Carl's done fantastic since he's got the job at Vancouver. It's shown, obviously, the last 2 seasons. They finished the season very well last season. Obviously, disappointed getting put up at Portland, but they went on to win it. So hopefully we can go and implement the same season as they had last year or better. Would be amazing to get more silverware this season at the club. I know that they won the Canada Cup last season. It would be good to go again and do that this season, and hopefully we could do well in the league and have a chance in the playoffs.
So how old were you then when you were watching Toronto FC's first season and you were a season ticket holder?
Must have been 13, 14, 15, around there. I was still a young boy. But no, I used to go and watch with my dad, brother, season tickets in the main stand. When Robbo used to play there, and then when I moved over to Scotland, my dad and brother kept their season tickets, and they still follow Toronto FC closely to this day. So it'll be interesting when we go and play them on May 14th at BMO Field in the league, and I just wonder who they're going to be supporting that day.
And did you have any discussions with, obviously you are North American based, or you grew up here? Did you think at all about potentially entering the North American soccer system before you ended up going to Scotland, or was it always Europe was the first priority when you were younger?
I think it was probably the first priority when I was younger, when the chance came about to go out on trial at Rangers. It was a no-brainer for me, growing up a lifelong Rangers fan, getting a chance to go play for your boyhood heroes. It was a no-brainer. And when I went over there and done well and got offered a contract, I was still only 15 at the time, and you can't leave home till you're 16. So I had to wait 2 months, and then 2 days after my 16th birthday, I moved over, and I've been over there ever since. So it was kind of a no-brainer when I got offered the contract, and it was something that I always wanted to do.
What's your family's reaction been to the news that you're coming back to Canada, albeit other side of the country?
It's a shorter flight for them, so I think they might actually be quite happy. But no, at the end of the day, it's my decision. They can only guide me and give me advice on making the decision. But I'm big enough now to make my own choice up. It's me that has to go play, me that has to go live wherever I'm going to live. But they were happy. They knew that I had to go out and get games because I couldn't sit on the bench and felt like I wasn't really involved at Rangers at the time because the team was doing so well. But no, they're happy with my decision and they'll back me to the wall. So hopefully they can come and watch a few games and see if I can change them into Whitecaps fans.
Fraser, how excited are you to come over to Major League Soccer and join the Whitecaps, a very young team, an up-and-coming team, playing in front of 21,000 fans at BC Place?
I'm as excited as you are asking me that question. I am excited. It's a new challenge for me, something different. Obviously, coming over and playing in Major League Soccer, I'll have to get used to the travel, playing in different stadiums, different style of players, different lifestyle. I'll just have to get used to it, and hopefully I enjoy it off the park, and hopefully I can do my best on the park. And if I'm doing well on the park, then I'm happy off the park. So just need to get my working gear on and hopefully do my best.
Fraser, what have you noticed in terms of the level of play? Obviously, early days yet with the guys, but what have you noticed about the level? How does it compare in terms of just the training environment right now?
It's a wee bit hard to judge right now. It was my first training session today with the group, obviously after coming in pre-season to Tucson, but I think that the level's good. Showed last year with the squad that they had. They played good football. They're good to watch. And hopefully this year, bringing in a few boys and bringing in myself, we can improve that and we can go through the business.
What's the biggest thing you'll need to adapt to?
Probably the travelling for games will be something I'm not really used to. For this game in Scotland this season would probably have been about a 3-hour drive. And I think that our shortest game this season will probably be about a 3-hour drive. So maybe get used to that. Obviously, the recovery time, the way a coaching staff obviously has to plan sessions around long travel, the jet lag. So it'll be something I'll have to get used to. But it's all part and parcel with obviously playing in the MLS, and it'll be a good experience.
So Fraser Aird there talking about a number of things.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but when he joined the national team, I think he was listed as a right back. He was brought into the national team last year against Honduras as a right back. Is that correct?
Yep. Rangers kind of converted him from the right wing role to right fullback because that's what they were needing. And as he said there, he's played for Rangers and the first team and the reserves and Canada in the right back position. Being versatile in the modern game is huge, and you kind of have to go with that. I think him and Jordan Smith are very similar in that they offer a lot going forward.
Except one's tall and one's short.
Yeah. He likes to go forward. Jordan Smith likes to go forward. It's how they fit in defending, which is the key thing, because you're needing them if they're going to play right back to be able to have some defence as well.
As scary as it sounds, I think Jordan Smith is probably a long further on the defending part of it because he's played that position most of his life.
Yeah, and like Jordan Smith has had a lot of fans making comments on social media that they don't think that he's a starter. This is a guy that's getting called into Costa Rican national team camps.
Yeah.
They're not going to call him in if he is not a decent player. So It's like...
And Costa Rica is one of the rising teams, I think, in the...
But, I mean, there's no curving it up. He was burned several times defensively last season in the few games that he played.
But that's the thing. He came in halfway through the season. Defenders,
finding his feet.
Unless you're Kendall Waston, defenders don't normally come in, because you usually have a book on how players play, the attacking players, so you have an idea of how they're coming at you. So Jordan Smith is going to have that now. He's going to get more information from the coaches and stuff like that, and it'll be a better position to play. Plus, when he came in, he only came in once in a while. Betashore was still the starter last year.
Yeah, and Robinson as well has said that he wants his fullbacks to attack. So my question for you is, and I kind of addressed this in the last podcast as well, are we maybe going to see two different lineup? A home lineup that might see the likes of Adekugbe and Smith attacking, and then an away lineup where you might see Jordan Smith and Fraser Aird maybe in the fullback positions.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be home and away, but I think you will see some kind of mixture there. I don't think they want to get obviously Sam some minutes. They don't want to burn out Jordan, and I think Fraser Aird eventually will show that he is good enough to start in MLS, and he will push Jordan Smith. So I think there will be rotation that way, and I think it's the best thing to do because you want to keep everybody fresh in the lineup, especially if they want more attacking going forward.
And we've come back inside from Whitecaps 2 training. We're sitting in the car now watching Whitecaps 2 training. Just in case you wonder why the acoustics sound a little bit different for the rest of this podcast. So when you're talking there about rotation, one thing which has become very evident is I think it's a stronger squad this year than last year. There's going to be a lot more competition for places. And with that comes the aspect of how do you get minutes for the young players when you're bringing in top players like Perez, Bolaños, Christian Teixeira's re-signed, Kudo's come in. Where do you find the time and the minutes for the guys like Marco Bustos, Kian's froze, Sam Adekugbe looks like the guy that's going to get the most minutes from that. But how do you think Carroll's going to manage to get these minutes for these younger guys?
Well, a lot of the younger guys are going to be playing obviously in WFC 2. There will be obviously still some probably changes in transactions like we talked about earlier. Some players still might move out. And then I think overall, I think it's just a matter of finding minutes and doing the right rotations like we talked about, keep everybody fresh. Because last year you had guys like Pedro Morales who burnt out really fast and wasn't an effective player at all by the end of the season because of injury and because of overall tiredness.
And Carl's talked so far about wanting to hit the playoffs in the right form, wanting to hit it in a hot streak, which is definitely what they didn't do last year. They were hot early on, then they tailed off a little bit going into the playoffs. They went into the playoffs not in the best form, and then were held goalless in the playoffs. So this year he's wanting to try and get his players hitting their peak at their best possible time, which is what Portland did. It's easier said than done. But yes, somebody like Pedro, you don't want to play him too early and burn him out. And I think we're going to see a lot of games where, especially away games, where it's going to be a young squad that go down to a lot of these away games.
Yeah, and then you won't even see especially the East Coast trips. I think there'll be a lot of, not a lot, but like 2 or 3 veterans who you think would be in the starting 11 might not even make the trip and just stay home at that point.
Yeah, I mean, very possibly. And I think that could be when we see the likes of Bustos and Froze getting minutes. And one of the things which Kyle said was, like last year, Marco played 1 game. So his challenge this year is to try and play 5 or 10 games.
Well, last year was a lot to do with injury too.
Oh, yeah.
He was missing for most of the first half. He didn't even get to WFC 2 games until I think it was June or May or June or something like that. So he wasn't. The whole point I think last year was to get him playing WFC 2, and then maybe by June or July he start moving into the first team, and obviously that wasn't able to happen.
And then Kian's is another guy as well. He played, I think, something like 10 games last year. So Carroll's challenge to him this year is to play 15 or 20.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge that he set these guys. And one of the young guys who didn't see any MLS minutes last year, again because of injury,
was named WFC 2 Player of the Year.
Yeah. Ben McKendry. Like, Ben was doing well with WFC 2, took a couple of games to find his feet, started to do really well.
Had an unfortunate knock.
Yeah, then basically it was a season-ending injury.
Yeah.
Missed the chance to play in the Canadian Championship games, missed the chance to play in the Champions League games, didn't get a chance to make any MLS appearances. So a tough year for Ben in some regards. As you say, though, named WFC 2 Player of the Year. I got a chance to catch up with Ben at pre-season camp last week, where he wasn't even able to still do all the physical testing. He's still doing a little bit of rehabbing. But I had a chance to speak to Ben just about the season ahead, what he's looking forward to, and a little bit of reflection on last year. So let's hear now from Ben McKendry. First thing to ask you, Ben, how's the injury going? I see you're still kind of doing rehab work out there.
Yeah, I've just been doing rehab during the off season and trying to build the strength up. And obviously, it's not quite where I want to be, or else I'd be in full training and doing the fitness test and stuff. But got Rick Celebrini on the team, so that's pretty huge. And hopefully, before the season starts, I'll be back to full training and no more issues from there. But
yeah, because I thought you were ready to go towards the end of the season, or did you have a little bit of a setback?
Yeah, I came back and kind of got back into full training and was feeling good, and then it kind of swelled up and blew up a little bit on me, so we just shut it down. It was at the end of the season, so there's no reason to push it too much. And my main goal and the coaching staff's main goal was to have me ready for this upcoming season, and obviously still not there yet, but heading in the right direction.
And looking back at last season, the USL season, you seemed to take a couple of games to find your feet, but then you were like flying.
Yeah.
I mean, how did you find your performances?
Yeah, they were great. I enjoyed playing in the USL. I think the first couple of weeks of it were a bit frustrating. I think because obviously any player that's with the first team wants to be playing in BC Place and have that attention. But after a while, I just realized how fortunate I am to be able to be playing games and to have opportunities to show my development, and I think that's what I ended up doing, and it definitely helped out a lot with kind of finding my feet with this club, the new team and stuff, and this year I'm hoping to get some first team minutes and build on that, and each stage is kind of progressing to a new level.
Looking at your position, like we know you as a DM, but we know you've also played like other midfield positions as well. Mm-hmm. The DM position just now looks stacked. Mm-hmm. It's like, what do you need to do, do you feel, to get some minutes, or has Carol told you that it's the plan for everyone to kind of play this year?
Yeah, I think there are definitely a lot of quality defensive midfielders in this team, but I think everyone is different. I'm different to the other guys that we have. Rusty's different, Matty's different, Davey's different, Gerson's different. So I'm not trying to be the greatest tackler like Matty is, or I'm not trying to be. Well, maybe I do want to be the fittest guy like Russell is, but I want to bring something that I have that the other guys don't have, and I think that's getting forward and talking with Robo. Him and I have similar ideas of what I bring to the defensive midfield position, which is nice to hear. So that's just what I want to do this season, is kind of make my own mark on that position.
We've spoken to Rob about you, and he's very high on you. He's said really favourable things about you, and he feels you've definitely got what it takes to be an MLS starter. Mm-hmm. Is it just kind of about patience now and just showing that you just deserve the opportunity, and then when you get it, just to take it? Yeah,
I think what I've always done is just kept getting better. Like I don't get ahead of myself. I don't. Never really satisfied with the level that I'm at. I always look forward, and that's what I want to do this year, is just keep on getting better, keep learning from guys like Matty Laba, and wherever that takes me, we'll find out, but I'm looking forward to the journey.
And you have to hopefully expect as well that you'll get 3 minutes in the Canadian Championship and obviously the Champions League again as well. What would it mean to you to play at one of these places, like say Mexico, or like one of the top teams in CONCACAF, to kind of have that atmosphere and that experience?
It would be special. I've kind of had a little bit of a glimpse with it with the Canadian national team when we had the qualifying under 20 tournament down there in Mexico. But yeah, watching Montreal Impact play, was Club America or?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, in the final when they were playing in front of a packed house. That looked pretty intimidating and scary. I don't know how that would be, but it's exciting. I definitely want to be on a bigger stage this year.
And you'll be seeing USL minutes, we would assume, as well, to start with. The team's looking a lot stronger than it did last year. What do you feel the team learned from last year going into this year? The defence wasn't the best, but it looks like there's been some additions that might help that out. Yeah,
definitely. I think kind of consistency throughout the whole year. I think we had a stage, and I obviously was involved playing minutes and stuff with the first team, but being a part of the group and seeing how training sessions were going, injuries, all that type of stuff, we kind of fell off a little bit near the end of the season. So I think that'll be our main focus this year, is to keep everyone healthy throughout the year, because we do have a lot of depth. We have guys that can come in and fill positions really well. So keeping a healthy squad is important, I think, this year.
Just the last thing, you touched on being away with Canada. Have they been in touch with you or kept tracks on you about bringing you into camps or anything?
Not so much lately, just because the injury and stuff. I obviously haven't been training, so there's not too much to talk about when a guy's out for a certain period of time. My main focus is with the Whitecaps right now, and I think that's important to be here and establish myself here first before I start thinking about other things.
Well, good luck, and we'll hopefully see you on the pitch soon.
Yeah.
That's great. Cheers, Ben. Thanks.
So that was Ben McKendry talking to Michael last week, and one thing you have to be feel good about is he's a very confident player. He's confident in his own abilities, and it's clear that Robbo has shown confidence in him when we talk to him in interviews as well.
Yeah, I mean, Robbo has said he sees him as an MLS player, and he feels. I mean, there's a lot of talk about Will Johnson maybe coming here in the off season, and like Robbo said to us that he feels that in a couple of years' time, McKendry is going to be as good as Will Johnson, and I mean that's great for the lad. So I mean, he's keen to play. He's just going to have to go out for the WFC2 team, sit at a light there, and he'll get his chances, especially in the Canadian Championship games that's coming up in June. And if he takes a chance there, he's going to definitely get MLS minutes this year.
And then also another spot we were talking about, like all the young Canadian outfield players. How about the one Canadian that we have in goal? Marco Carducci. At this point, they haven't signed a second keeper. Obviously, we got Spencer Ritchie as well. Where do you see him fitting in in the lineup and everything? Do you think he didn't play too much last year? He split the duties with Spencer, and also Tornagi came down a couple of games too. So where do you see him fitting? Is he got enough to be that number 2 keeper?
I mean, he's definitely a talent. We've known that for years. Spencer Ritchie, I'm quite high on as well. I think we've got 2 really good backup goalkeepers. The thing with Marco is, of course, he has the MLS contract, so that kind of goes in his favour a little bit. But I still have a sneaking feeling that Kyle Robinson is going to bring in a number 2 backup keeper. And if he does that, it's just what that might do to Marco's confidence going forward. We don't know. But he said just now, anyway, that he's going to let Ritchie and Carducci battle it out in the pre-season to try and see which one of them is going to maybe secure the backup spot. And you'd have to think that backup person is then going to get games in the Canadian Championship and Champions League.
And also drop down to WFC2 when he needs to.
And we actually asked Marco about that and just about the goalkeeping battle and just the tough season, I think it was fair to say, that he has in 2015 with being in and out of the team just so that all the other keepers could get minutes. So let's hear now from Marco Carducci, just talking about a few of those things. So Marco, first thing to really ask you, last year, I guess it was a good year, it was a challenging year, you got to see a lot of minutes with the USL team, you didn't see any minutes in the Canadian Championship. Looking back from you personally, how did you find 2015?
Yeah, I think like you said, there were a lot of ups and downs for me personally, but I think overall it was a good experience for me to go through that Because going from the first team to the USL and then, playing one weekend and maybe not the next was for sure difficult for me, but it was a part of my development moving forward, and knowing that, you have to be patient, you have to make sure that every opportunity I had to play and to train, I had to take it. So I'm just looking to build on it, of course, and this year it's a clean slate, right? And I know there's a lot of opportunity ahead, so I'm just going to work hard and like I said, use what I had to go through last year and use that to my benefit this year.
And looking at the USL season, now I know you're kind of used to it from being with the residency that you play one week, you don't play the next week or whatever, but how hard is it as a player to know that you can't get a run of games because you have to share the minutes around?
Exactly. No, that was probably one of the most difficult things, because I got a lot of minutes, which was great, but it's hard when you play 1 week and you might not play for another 2 or 3. And it's hard to build that momentum. But again, that's something you have to be able to deal with, and that's something, like I said, I want to be able to use moving forward. So I think a big thing for me is to hopefully get in a situation to get consistent games, and I think that's the next thing for me moving forward.
And Paolo Tornaghi's obviously moved on, and Robbo has said publicly that the way he's looking at it just now, yourself and Spencer are going to kind of battle it out for the number 2. Is that what he's told you guys as well?
Yeah, I think at the end of the year, what he told me was, again, it's a new year. There's going to be new opportunity, and I know personally that there's a lot of options and a lot of opportunity for me moving forward. And I think my job is simply to just to work and show them that I am ready. But I think the biggest thing, and it's a mutual thing that we share from the coaching staff and myself, is finding the best spot for me for my development moving forward. But like I said, I'll control what I can control, which is showing myself off well on the pitch and working hard.
And the fact that you've already got the MLS contract, do you feel that gives you a little bit of an advantage over Spencer with the battle?
For me, again, it's the past doesn't matter. What that, again, it's great for me to have that, of course, but it doesn't change anything for me at all. I think, again, I just focus on taking it day by day and working hard. No matter whether you have a contract or not, or it's every day you have to show yourself. And
being a goalkeeper is, I guess, it's the toughest position really on the pitch, because there's only one of you.
Absolutely, yeah.
So when you're behind a guy like David Ousted, who wants to play every game that he can, when he's got such a good record and doing so well form-wise, obviously you learn from that, but is it frustrating as well, knowing that you're really relying on him being injured or something to get your chance?
Well, like you said, that's part of being a goalkeeper, right? David has shown in the last couple of years, and especially last year, that he's a top goalkeeper, and to be able to train with him and learn from him every day is going to help me massively, moving forward. But that's part of the job, right? You have to be patient, you have to wait for your opportunity, and being a goalkeeper as well, you have a longer shelf life, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of time for me. I'm not forcing myself or rushing, but I want to grow all the time and look in the future and say, down the line, I want to be ready to be a starter whenever that may be. But yeah, it's to work with Dave is great. You get to see it firsthand what it takes.
And the Caps, it's a strong goalkeeping pool. You keep bringing them through. It's like, even just now in the 18s, you've got Aiden and you've got Tressolini. Yeah. Knowing that there's so many guys coming through, does it put added pressure on you that you feel you have to go out there and perform now?
I think it doesn't change anything. Again, I mean, there's always going to be in any position, really, and it doesn't matter whether it comes through the academy or not. They're always going to be looking to bring in new talent, new young guys, and for me individually, right, of course, I know that guys are always going to be pushing and trying to get to the spot that I'm at, because I was in the same situation in the residency. I thought, well, I want to take that guy's spot. So that's just another little piece you have to think of and make sure that you're always better than the next guy, and you're continuing to develop and get better.
And when Robbo doesn't bring a guy like Callum Irvin back because he doesn't want to block your pathway, that must give you at least a big boost.
Absolutely. No, I and from what I've, the conversation we have, and also through the last couple of years, I know that they've given me a lot of opportunity, and I know that we're both on the same path. We want to be moving forward, and I want to be the one, of course. I want to be the one moving forward, and again, it's up to me to make sure that I get to that level and I continue to improve. But it's great for me to have that confidence in the coaching staff and being able to work day in, day out, and again, set those goals for the future.
And looking at the games that you might get with the first team, there's the Canadian Championship again, and there's also the Champions League this year. What would it mean to you to maybe run out on a pitch in Mexico or like something like that?
Yeah, I mean, that would be fantastic, of course. And that's, again, on top of getting those minutes in those kind of environments, that's massive, right? Getting that, playing in that, the hostility, the pressure, that can only be beneficial for my development. So, if I get those opportunities, then you got to take them and enjoy them and use them.
And goals for the season, is it just to try and...
Yeah, of course. I've never been one to really set a specific goal because, again, there's a ton of opportunity and I know that there's a lot of options moving forward for me. So I'm just going to focus on one thing at a time, which is right now it's preseason and, showing myself well and making the decision for the coaches. I want them to have that in the back of the head that, he's ready or whatever. Again, whatever is the best for me is what I want to be or where I want to be this year. But I'm just focusing on preseason first and leaving a great impression and getting better every day.
Well, that's great. Well, good luck for this season, and we'll see you in action soon.
Thank you, Mike.
That's great. Thanks so much, Mark.
You're welcome.
Cheers.
Yeah, thank you.
So a very upbeat and optimistic Marco Carducci there, and wish him well. It's weird, I was just thinking when I was editing that part of chatting to Marco, we've spoken to Marco now for so many years.
We could do a best of Marco interview for
our
podcast.
He's always been a guy that he's a really good interview.
Yeah. He seems to have the leadership part of it, the maturity part of it down. It's just a matter of learning the technical skills of a keeper. And once you get to that, I think he'd be a very fine keeper down the road. And remember, keepers, they don't become like in other leagues, top leagues, until they're 25. Like you're basically 25 when you become in your prime and ready to start.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely got time on his side, and David Ousted is not going to be here forever.
No. And
the chances are then when Ousted moves on, Marco could be the guy that's then had all those years and experience under the belt, moves in as the starter. We'll have to see how it goes. We're really looking forward to seeing the battle between him and Richie, two top goalkeepers. And the USL team, the way that the defence in front of them was last year, you didn't really get to see exactly how good those two keepers were. But with a better defence in front of them this year, I think you're going to see just how good both these guys are. So enough about the players. Just before we wrap up this episode of the podcast, let's talk about the other big news of the week. On Monday, the Whitecaps' new kit was revealed, a new away strip. Sea to sky, lots of blue, lots of baby blue, lots of stripes.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on it, Steve? You a fan?
I don't mind it. I kind of like it. I just wish there was a couple of changes, and obviously this is our fashion corner of the week, part of the podcast.
Because, I mean, anyone that knows us will know we are fashionistas.
Yeah, big time. But my only issue is that the drastic from the dark blue to the light blue was just, it was too, like, one in one shot. I would have preferred where the blue is in the middle of the kit, and if that was started at the bottom and it was more gradual. Do you understand what I'm talking about?
But that wouldn't then be sea to sky.
No, I understand that, but I just the color wise that would have been a nicer fit, and because it makes I like the sleeves, but it makes the sleeves really stand out when you have too much dark blue up top. I wish that that blue that's on the sleeves was almost across the chest too. Upper chest area. It's kind of a weird thing with describing it on a podcast if somebody hasn't seen it.
Well, I'm a big fan of it. I like that colour of blue, especially the baby blue aspect.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I've always been more of a fan of the away strips than the home strips. There hasn't been an MLS white jersey that I've actually really liked yet.
Yeah.
But I've liked the blue ones. I particularly liked the first year when I had the Argyle pattern.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still my favourite.
Well, this one's got a pattern too. It's got the V.
Yeah.
In it. It's very subtle, but it's you can definitely see it in there.
I think it looks really smart. My favourite MLS strip from recent years has been Kansas City's away one. And this is
tartan or something like that, right?
Kind of tartan, I guess. Yeah. It was more checks, but I guess you could say tartan. Let's go with tartan.
Sure.
But I think this hasn't dislodged that. It's been my favourite, but it's right up there.
Yeah.
I think I'll probably end up buying one, unless anyone wants to give us a free one.
I think it has to grow on me. It takes for me, new jerseys, whenever something changes, it has to take a while for me to see it and everything like that.
Well, if you get a medium-sized one, you might feel like it's growing on you.
There you go.
The only thing I disagree with, like they're talking about, like sea to sky. If it was going to be that, it would be going from dark blue to probably dark grey, judging by the skies in Vancouver.
Well, sea to sky, they mean the mountains.
Ah, okay, not just this horrible rainy sky that we've got.
Because the highway leads to the mountains. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm a fan. It's had mixed reactions so far online, but I love the collar.
You gotta get mixed reactions with everything. You can't please everybody all the time.
The only thing I don't like that it's a plain back. I would have kept the same design the whole strip. It makes no sense to me that it's a plain back.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's our fashion corner for the week. So let us know what your thoughts are on the kit. And let us know your thoughts on anything else as well, and we'll read them out in the next episode of the podcast. But for now, that's this episode in the bag. Just before we go, Steve, let everyone know where they can find you online.
On Twitter at Whitecaps Beat.
And I'm Michael McCall. You can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada. Read our stuff away from the numbers, aftn.ca. I'm also the Whitecaps beat reporter for MLSsoccer.com, so watch out for all my stuff on there as well. We'll be back next week with another special podcast. We've dealt with young Canadians this time, and next week's one's also going to have a bit of a Canadian flair for you. So until then, as always, thanks for listening, take care, and mon the Caps!
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.